Hello, I'm Nora and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today is Tuesday, October 2nd, and I have some things I need to get done for grad school because I have been procrastinating all week. Granted, it's been a rough week for me, okay? It really has been, but I need to get some things done and I'm going to bring you with me for those things. I mainly have one. Let's back it up a little. If you're unfamiliar with me, hi, I'm Nora. I am currently in graduate school for library and information science to become a teen librarian, and I am in my third semester. That we are currently at the point of the semester where things are really starting to amp up and projects are being due. We're doing group projects and papers and everything is due all at once, and it's very overwhelming. And when I get overwhelmed, I have a bad habit of just ignoring all of the things that bring me joy and that fill my cup, and just really not doing things that are good for me. So today the goal is to get a lot of things done so that I can start focusing on myself again, because every time I get stressed, I push away all of the things that bring me joy. All of my hobbies do not get partaken in. I just do not take care of myself in the slightest so that I can have every ounce of energy to pour into school. However, that means that I have no energy. So today the goal is get at least half of this assignment done and finish the book that I need to read for this course so that I can spend tomorrow and the rest of my evening in peace, because truly this assignment has been eating away at me, and I just started it this morning, but all week I've been I really need to get going on that. And especially when I'm feeling that overwhelmed, I tend to just procrastinate and be well, I'll deal with it later, it'll be fine. But then it eats away at me because I'm not doing it. So this morning I woke up and sat down and immediately started pounding out work on this assignment. And when I tell you that I already answered, backing up again, I'm all over the place this morning. This assignment is a library profile, which is part one of a bigger ongoing assignment of a public library analysis. So this is for my course, the public library, which, makes sense. So we have to choose a library that we can physically visit. And then there's 8 questions that we have to complete an entire profile of this library. So it's going to be 4 to 6 pages, and we just have to say all of this background information on this library. So I started this morning by doing the history, mission statement, library's organizational structure, all of the background things I got done, thankfully, and those were the easy things. So I meant to start this vlog earlier in the morning, but I sat down and immediately got to work. And if I'm in the mood to get work done, I need to just do the work and not try and deal with other things on the side, because then I will no longer be in the mood to work. So I got that done. So I'm a little over a page. I have all of this typed up so far, feeling good about this. So what I'm going to do now, it's currently 12:30. And so I am just going to sit here and really just work on this. So this week, I need to get this done. There are technically 8 questions that we have to answer, but number 8 is just upload, and then number 6 is stuff to put in an appendix that the library I'm working on does not have, so I don't need to do that. So there's only 6 prompts instead of 8. So that means if I do 3 today and 3 tomorrow, it'll be done, because it's not due till Monday at 11:59 p.m. So if I get it done Friday, so 3 prompts today, 3 prompts tomorrow, it'll be done Friday, and then I can take Saturday to review. And I don't really mind doing work on the weekends because I really thrive on structure, and I have that a lot during the week, but on the weekends I don't. And so I find that my mood is kind of down in the dumps on the weekends, just because I sleep in, I eat late, it just, all of the things line up for me to not be in a good mood. So by giving myself just even a little bit of an assignment where it's just revising a paper, reviewing it, making sure that it's grammatically correct, gives me good structure for the weekend. So I do want to do that on Saturday. However, I also have another big thing that I need to do, and that is for a different class. I'm taking 4 classes this semester, which is quite a lot, but technically this is my college's fall break, but because my program is an online program, we don't really adhere to that. So 2 of my classes are giving us the week off, and then the other 2 are here is a giant project for you to work on. So luckily when I started this week, I thought both of the projects were due on Monday, so I was really gonna have to hustle to get things done. One of them is not due until next Saturday, so I have a little bit of time for that. But my one other class, Engaging Teens, where this course is one that if you watched my wrap-up, my 3rd quarter wrap-up, you will have heard me talk about it quite a bit, because we have a list of 22 books that we have to read and review by the end of the semester, and the first 11 books of that list and all of their reviews are due October 12th. And I think I still have 6 books left to read. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I still have 6 things that I need to read and review before the 12th, and I'm currently reading one that I really need to finish because when I picked it up I didn't realize how long it was, and that is The Kingdom of Little Wounds by Susan Kokel. And it's like a 560 page book, and I didn't realize that when I picked it up, and so it's taking me a really long time to get through this, but I need to finish it today so I can move on to the next thing to get all of these books read before that due date. So my 2 tasks for today are doing the 3 prompts that I need for that assignment and then finishing this. And I will tell you more about my thoughts on this once we get to that portion of my day, because I have a lot of thoughts. And whoa, this book, crazy. So you're going to want to stick around for that, because when I tell you that this thing is insane. So that is my plan for today. And also this week has just been very different because I have a very like regimented schedule that I stick to during the week, and it has been completely thrown out the window this week because my dad is home from work this week. My brother was off yesterday. Today's my brother's birthday. So there's just like a lot of other things happening on top of all of this work that I need to get done. And I'm like really good at doing like discussion boards and like littler assignments, but when it comes to like big projects, for some reason my brain just like cannot comprehend. They're like, no, I don't want to do that. And I think it's because there's like multiple pieces and I can't finish it just in one sitting like I can with the discussion. So I just procrastinate them so much longer, which is what I'm doing by continuing to talk to you. So the prompt that I have to answer next for this project is a description of the library's demographic area and service population, including details about patrons' ages, ethnicity, education, and income levels, number of single parents in the community. And then it gives links to where we can find that information. So this one's going to be a big chunk, and I imagine like a full page of information, which is why I stopped before that one this morning. So like I said, woke up, did everything normally, got those first 2 prompts done, had breakfast. I had an English muffin with peanut butter and cinnamon, delicious. And now I am ready to just get back into this. So with all that being said, let's just get right into working. We have already encountered the first problem. So the sweatshirt had to come off because I was getting warm. I was sitting like this, that's why the red mark is there. And yes, I'm still in my pajamas. I'm not going anywhere. I want to be comfy. Anyway, like I mentioned, this part of the assignment requires looking at census data to like get census data about the community that the library is in. However, because of the government shutdown, the census website is inoperational. Okay, like I can see a brief overview of the information, but anytime I click on anything, it just doesn't do anything. Like it doesn't open. And I've used the census website before, so I know how it should respond, and it's just not. And even when you go on, there's like, it fills the page, an error message being like, because of the government shutdown, like some things are just not working. And then it makes you wait 10 seconds before you go into the website. And there's a banner at the top that says government shutdown, things are inoperational. So luckily I did an assignment a few weeks ago for a different class where I had to pull some census data for the same community. Oh, this is crazy. But it's just not as in-depth or detailed or specific as I need for this assignment. So I got what I could for now. And like, it's definitely like, it's a solid paragraph. It's just, I was not expecting running into that error. So there was this other website called citydata.com. It's just like a little bit jankier, not as accurate, I feel. So I used a little bit of information from there, but right. So I emailed the professor and she got back to me and said like, thank you for letting me know. So I'm just gonna have to wait that out. I think I do feel like the amount of information I got, because I got like number of residents, median household income, employment rate, like all of like the big things. I just can't like break it down much further. So like she had said that, I read it to you, she wanted like single parent, like how many single parents. I can't see that information. So for now, I think I'm just gonna have to move on to information about like the service. I got interrupted. Like I said, having my dad home, love him, really throws me off my game. But anyway, I don't remember what I was saying, but I need to find data on like the service population. So luckily the Ohio Public Library statistics page, I was able to find like a whole spreadsheet of every single library in Ohio and a whole bunch of their information. So I can pull information about like, I can pull statistics for like how many adults are card holders, how many children are card holders, to get that information. But yeah, so roadblock that I can't do anything about. So government, get back up and running better this time. So I I don't know. This is really, whenever I hit any road bumps, I'm like, let me just scroll on TikTok. Let me just watch a YouTube video. It's like, no, I need to persevere because this is the last thing I need to do for this assignment today. And it's only going to get harder from here. But realistically, let me look at this now. So I need to do this, and then the next question is pertinent statistics such as the type and number of staff, number and formats of materials, circulation, just a circulation, number of card holders, etc., which is all in that spreadsheet that I found, and then a description of the library's funding structure, including sources of revenue, current status, recent levies, etc., which is all in that same spreadsheet, and then copy of library's budget and organization chart, not available, summary of information gathered in steps 1 through 6, which draws conclusions about the library's impact on, support from, and relevance to its service community, and then number 8 is just upload. So all of the other information I need is coming from that spreadsheet. Okay. Feeling better now, but that did really throw me off because I thought I was gonna be able to like sit down and like type it all out, and then I could not do that. So I think now I really have to figure out how much information I want to split between 3 and 4, because I could say like this many adults are card holders, but that feels like it fits more in question number 4 because it says number of card holders. So now I need to figure that out, figure out what's gonna go in 3 and what's gonna go in 4, but truly, whenever I hit a roadblock that I'm not expecting, it just like throws me off. Like, I do not want to do any more work. I'm like, I've struggled enough for today, but I'm going to continue. You are going to see me in my ratty pajama shirt more, but this is just the reality of my day. I do not often get dressed. There was one week where I got dressed every single day that week and I felt wonderful. Not happening this week. No. Also, every time I get dressed, my parents are like, where'd you go today? Knowing full well I went nowhere. So we're just gonna avoid that. Just stay in the pajamas, you know? It's also finally getting like nice outside, so I think part of my problem here is that I don't talk to anyone really during the day. Now that my dad's home this week, I've been talking to him a lot, which makes me do even less work. So this project happening this week was just not good for me. But then when I start filming, I'm like, let me just say every single thought that I've ever had all to you right now. So thanks for listening, but I need to get back to this because I will just keep yapping. And I do want to do that, but I know I shouldn't. So I am going to probably do another time lapse of me figuring this out and then talk to you again once I have some things figured out. Okay, I have finished sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of this assignment, which means I only have section 7 left, which is a summary of the information gathered in steps 1 through 6, which draws conclusions about the library's impact on, support from, and relevance to its service community. And I'm going to do that tomorrow because I need a break from this. I have 2 full pages written, and this assignment says that it's supposed to be 4 to 6 page paper, single or double spaced. Mine is going to be like just like 4.5 pages double spaced. So we're there, barely. But I'm gonna do the summary tomorrow so that I can give myself like some space away from it so that when I come back I have fresh eyes on it, and then I can also do some revisions tomorrow before I do the summary. So that is a good plan there. And then I am also going to finish my book. I think I'm at like 77%, so I will get this done tonight, but it is currently 2:28 p.m., which means it is lunchtime. And for lunch today, I'm going to have a spicy chicken sandwich, and I'm very excited about it. I had one for lunch on Tuesday. Today's Thursday, and I am going to recreate it, and it was really good, so I'm very much looking forward to it. So that is my plan currently. I will show you my chicken sandwich because, you know, I was gonna say I'd show it to you. It's a chicken sandwich. You've seen one, I would imagine, but I'm gonna eat lunch. Normally I would bring you with me to lunch, but because my dad's here, he's all out there, and we're gonna avoid that, you know? So lunchtime and then reading time, and I cannot wait to finish this book, truly, because I genuinely don't know how it's gonna wrap up. I'm keeping you in suspense for my thoughts on this book because when I tell you it's crazy, yeah. So lunchtime. Okay, I am back from lunch. That took much longer than I thought, and it is now 4:41 p.m. My brother ended up coming home. We had a jolly old time, which means I've done nothing else besides eat lunch and hang out. But now I'm here to tell you about the Kingdom of Little Wounds. So I'm reading this for my class Engaging Teens, which is all about like book awards and book lists specifically geared towards teen and younger readers. And we were given a list of 22 books, all having to do with like different awards, and then we were kind of just like linked to all of the award winners and just given like parameters of what we could choose from. And this I'm reading for the Michael A. Prince Award winner from 1995 to 2005. And this is, I had to pick 2 from that year range, and this is one of the things I picked. And I picked it because it was one of the few fantasy things on this list, and I'm a fantasy reader first and foremost, so I was like, oh, this will be exciting. Yeah, so I'm gonna read you what the actual like synopsis of this book is, and then I'm gonna tell you what I'm experiencing, because let me tell you, they are not the same thing. A young seamstress and a royal nursemaid find themselves at the center of an epic power struggle in this stunning young adult debut. On the eve of Princess Sophia's wedding, the Scandinavian city of Skagahaven prepares to fete the occasion with a sumptuous display of riches, brocade and satin and jewels, feast of sugar fruit and sweet-spiced wine. Yet beneath the veneer of celebration, a shiver of darkness creeps through the palace halls. A mysterious illness plagues the royal family, threatening the lives of the throne's heirs, and a courtier's wolfish hunger for the king's favor sets a devious plot in motion. Here in the palace, things are seldom as they seem, and when a single errant prick of a needle sets off a series of events that will alter the course of history, the fates of seamstress Ava Bingen and mute nursemaid Mitty Sorte become intertwined with that of the mad Queen Isabel. As they navigate a tangled web of palace intrigue, power, lust, and deception, Ava and Mitty must carve out their own survival any way they can. And this was a 2014 Michael L. Prince honor book. I think I said Michael L. Prince. And like, yes, that is what's happening, but when I tell you this is the most like sexually explicit YA novel I have ever read, and it's like not even in like a sexy romantic way, it is almost never consensual, and like I've just never read so many descriptive sex scenes in a YA novel in a way that's like not enjoyable. Like, I don't think sex in a YA novel would ever be enjoyable, but like in this, it's like uncomfortable. And so the author is doing a good job of like conveying that discomfort, because it's uncomfortable for the characters experiencing it as well. But it's just like thing after thing after thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I have never experienced a YA novel with so much sexually explicit content. And like, I don't even think it's necessary. I'm not like, oh my God, my flabbers are gasted of like the sex itself, but it's like the way it's being done, because it's like, the first time it happens was fine. That was like more romantic. It was just like the way like ropes of his seed. Don't explain it like that. But then after that, like it's never consensual until like the like 50% mark after that. Like these girls are being like sexually abused by this man who's like using them to like trade secrets. And he has like jewels sewn into the skin of his penis to like ward off disease. And so they're like explaining how that crazy, but it does follow. The synopsis make it sound like it just follows 2 perspectives. That's not true. We follow like every single person in this palace. So we have Ava, who is a seamstress, and her father has kind of like a higher position as like a merchant, and he sells like telescopes pretty much. That's not what they're called in here, but that's pretty much what they are. And so she comes to the palace as a seamstress. However, one day she kind of like loses focus, and when she's stitching up the queen's dress, she stabs her with a needle, the errant prick of a needle that the synopsis talked about. So she gets lowered to working in the nursery for all of the sick children, and then gets further lowered from there. And so she's really experiencing just like terrible things in the palace. And then Mitty Sorte is a black woman, like she's not a woman, she's a girl, but like the way they describe her, they only ever call her the like black maid or the dark one or like the negress maid, and I'm like, that none of that feels right, especially because the author is a white woman. So I'm not loving that. But her tongue has been like split, so she can't talk, but she is the favorite of one of the princesses who's ill, and then becomes a favorite of the queen. And so her chapters are interesting because she has like a lot of secrets from the palace, and her chapters are written as like diary entries. So they're not written in like proper English, because that's not how she learned how to write or speak. So that makes sense, and like it's fine. But then like in between Ava and Mitty's chapters, we also get perspectives from the king, the princesses, the queen, Nicholas, the guy who's like plotting all of this. So there's just like a lot happening, and it's just like thing after thing keeps happening, and like every single bad thing that could possibly happen in this kingdom is happening, and it's all being plotted and designed by this one evil man, the one with the jewels sewn into his willy. So there's just like so much happening, and it's like at first I was like, I am not enjoying this, like what is going on? And the further I got into it, I was like, I'm still not enjoying it, but I simply have to follow through. I need to know what's going to happen here, because like the queen has fallen into madness, and Midi Sorte is like right there with her, kind of like spurring it on. Ava is really suffering. Like she keeps just like trying to fall in love. It's not working for her. Like there's just so much happening here. And this is like a 563 page book. And so I'm not really sure what all exactly I even have to say about this, because I have to like write like a professional review when I'm done with it as like part of the assignment. And I'm just like, I already know I'm going to start the review with, I have never read a book quite like this, and I don't know if that's a good thing. Yeah, like, it's not bad. It's very easy to follow. It's very easy to read, but it's also very overwritten in a lot of parts where it just feels like I'm like skimming through, and it's like I can skim through like whole pages and miss nothing because it's just like elaborate description that doesn't really add a whole lot to the story, because it doesn't need it because there's so much happening. If it was a slower paced plot with less happening, then that writing would work really well. But because so much is happening from so many different perspectives all at the same time, we don't need all of that like flowery writing, because then it's just too much. And especially for this class, we're evaluating them as to how a teen would enjoy them, not how much. Like we also share our own opinions, but we're also sharing like, would a teen enjoy this? And I feel like if a teen were to pick this up and start reading it, they would probably put it down. Like I cannot picture a teen sitting through everything that's happening in here and enjoying it. I just can't picture it. Now the cover, you can't really tell here, so I'll put in a picture of what the cover actually looks like. It does kind of align with a lot of the covers that we're like seeing for like fantasy romance recently. So the cover is not super outdated, and the book itself isn't outdated. There is just something in here that's like, how did this get published? Like it's just like, not because it's bad, but because it's just so all over the place and there's so much happening, and the sexually explicit content, I just like, I'm wowed by this book, and not necessarily in like an all the way good way. So I'm on like 77%, and my thoughts are still really like, I have no clue how this is going to wrap up, because there's so many loose threads right now that it's like, I don't know how we are going to pull everything together and have a satisfying conclusion. So I'm thinking it's going to be an ambiguous ending, but at the same time, I have no clue how we're even going to do that. Like, what is the end? Right? Because it's like Nicholas is vying for power. So it's like, is it going to end when he like achieves all the power that he wants, like as king, question mark? Is that what he's angling for? But then like, what happens to everyone else? I have a lot of questions that I'm hoping are answered by the end of this novel, so I'm just gonna read and then share my thoughts as I go. But yeah, this has taken me, I think this is my 4th or 5th day of reading just to get this far, because it's like exhausting to read. So much happens, so many perspectives, and it's just like everything all together. And it's exhausting. So I'm just gonna keep reading and hope that it starts to come together and make more sense. Significantly later. It is now like 9 p.m. and I have finished my book. Now, before we get into that, I do feel bad because these vlogs, especially when it's just one day, you see me in this chair all day. And part of that is because when I'm not in my chair, especially this week 'cause my dad's home, I'm with my family and they didn't sign up to be on camera. So like, I'm not gonna do that to them. And also it just feels kind of weird for me to like vlog in front of them and like talk to the camera while they're right there. So I try not to get them in it. So you don't see me most of the day when I'm interacting with my family, which especially today took up like almost all of my time, because I had lunch, I came back in here, I started reading, then my grandparents came over to say happy birthday to my brother, and then we had dinner. We got it from one of our favorite restaurants, delicious, but like, I'm not going to show that because I'm sitting having time with my family, so I'm not going to vlog that. So you just see me here like back in this chair being like, it's later, and you don't see anything happen in between, and I apologize for that, but like, that is the reality of my day. And yes, I'm still in my pajamas because that is again the reality of my day. So sorry about that. This vlog has not been the most interesting, but it is like a very realistic day in my life, and that was the whole point of this video. So point accomplished. But another thing that's accomplished was finishing this book. It wrapped up well. It's very clear that this author loves fairy tales and really just like wanted to weave all of like the fairy tale aspects into here, and did a very good job. Like the writing is very good. It's just because there was so much happening in here, I could not enjoy the writing because I was like, I need to get through this to find out what's happening next, and not in a like I'm really invested way in the so much has already happened, I just need to get to the end. And then I finished it, and I enjoyed it. It was very interesting because it ended and it was like, well, like a fairy tale would have a happy ending, but this is real life, not a fairy tale. And so there's not like a happy definitive ending. But then it went on to have, like, there would have been like fairy tales like interspersed, like kind of related to the story, but like fairy tales interspersed throughout the novel. And it did like one of those again at the end, kind of like saying what the life of these two women had been once they dealt with everything that was going on. And that just kind of like wrapped everything up and gave them a happy ending. So it's like, I feel like we can't have both, but we did. And that's kind of, I think, how this whole novel went, where it was like, we shouldn't have both of these things, but we do, and it's not working. Like, it shouldn't have had this like overly written flowery language and everything that happened in the plot, but it did. And so they did clashed. It didn't work. But then after that like final fairy tale inclusion, there was like a history section where the author talked about how she pulled a lot of like things that happened in here from history, specifically like Scandinavian history. And that was really interesting. And how she talked about this book, like when she was writing it, she talked about it like to her friends and like her agent and everything as her like syphilis fantasy. And like, yes, because a lot of this does have to do with syphilis. It's not called that in here. It's called like the Italian fire or the French fire, something like that. But like, it's a sexually transmitted disease, but like it doesn't have the name syphilis, even though that is what it is. And so like that was enjoyable, and I like reading about like where she pulled her inspiration. I always like when that's included when it is a historical fantasy, so I really enjoyed that. It's just, this was a very interesting book, and again, I cannot see a teen really being invested in this. Like, I just, it doesn't feel like something a teen would pick up and be like, yeah, I really like that, especially because of how long it is. I don't know. I'm not sure. My thoughts on this are very up in the air, and I don't give a personal rating to the books that I'm reading for this class because they would not be very high. This one I think would get like a 2-star. If I was giving it a rating, I think it would be 2. So when I do it for my class, there's like a rubric that we fill out that kind of like guides our rating on like different areas. So that is done. I'm glad that it's over and that I can move on to something else, because next I will be reading, let's look at my Google Doc and see. I might be a procrastinator, but at least I'm organized with it. So that finishes what I needed to read for the Michael A. Prince Award from 2000 to 2015. I think I said 1995. 2000 to 2015. And then we are moving on to 2020 to 2025, and my options are Dig, We Are Not Free, The Firekeeper's Daughter, Scout's Honor, Compound Fracture, and Bright Red Fruit. And I have to read 2 of those, and I'm more excited for these. They're more recent. They're more things that I would have interest in picking up on my own outside of this. So I'll be reading one of those next, probably starting it tomorrow, and I'm excited to just be done with this. And as much as I want, like, the thing is, there were so many good things in here that I really enjoyed. They were just bogged down by everything else that was happening. So now that I'm done with that, it is, like I said, 9 p.m. I usually go to bed around 10. So it is time for me to watch YouTube. I have not watched YouTube in the past like 3 or 4 days. So I have a lot to catch up on. And YouTube is like the main thing that I watch. Like, I don't really watch streaming services or like shows or movies. Right now I'm watching Gen V. Really enjoying it. Season 2, having a great time. But that's only Wednesdays and it only comes out once a week. So watched that yesterday. Had a great time. But now I need to catch up on all of my YouTube, especially because I tend to watch a lot of YouTubers who post like really long videos. So Books and Lala posted a new video, so I think that's probably what I'm gonna watch tonight because duh. So that is how I'm going to spend my night. So again, I apologize that this vlog was not very entertaining and like not a lot happened, but that is truly like a super realistic day in my life, especially in an online program. I sit here in my chair all day. I go to my living room to eat my lunch. Like, I don't really do a whole lot. Now, like, this week was a little bit different because my dad was home, and so some things were slightly different, but like this is it, you know? And when you watch it like a week, it seems like more is going on because it's a whole week where just like one day, yeah, this is it. Which like is kind of sad, but I enjoy this life. You know, I'm having a great time. Like, I love the program that I'm doing. I love spending time with my family. Like, I still like talk to all my friends, you know. I don't see them as much anymore, but I just do still talk to them. So I'm very content and very happy with this life that I'm living. And let me just be the first to say, like, I feel like I always see influencers who like are wearing like the cutest outfits and like doing all these fun things and like just doing all of this stuff in their vlogs. That's not me. I wish it was sometimes, but it is not. And I know that I would be absolutely exhausted if it was. So this was a very realistic vlog. Like, this is what most of my days look like. I do get out. Let me make that clear. Not all of my days are spent just fully at home. I do get out. Like, I have a dog. I take him out during the day. I do get outside. I go for walks. I do get out, okay? Let me make that clear. But yeah, this is what most of my days look like. So Thank you for being here with me. This is kind of my outlet because usually I'm here by myself all day. So it's nice to like have someone to talk to, that someone being you. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in another video again soon. Bye.